Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Luo Feng stood on the suspended miniature continent and surveyed his surroundings. Looking around the void space, I can obtain one secret technique. And upon mastering it, I can enter the 9th level. If I fail, all my memories will be erased, and I will have to leave Wuqi Tower. Luo Feng frowned. The temptation to enter the 9th level, especially when he was so close to achieving it, was extremely great. But the countless characters suspended in the void space around him left him in a daze thanks to their overwhelming numbers. He didn't know where to start. At first glance, they were like a sky filled with stars. Every character was one star, and they were all connected to one another. But because all of them were gathered together, it was impossible to identify where the starting point of this secret technique was or where its end would be. He did not even know where there could be pauses. To cultivate this secret technique, I must first organize all its contents. Luo Feng looked at the countless characters suspended all over the surrounding void space. But I know nothing about any of it. How am I going to divide them up into phases? If I cannot divide them into phases, how am I going to start the cultivation? Luo Feng was frustrated. Time passed. In a blink of the eye, 9 days had gone by. How do I cultivate? Luo Feng wondered aloud. He looked at the numerous characters. Each was emitting light rays that were at times strong and at other times weak. It was like a gigantic scroll whose start and end were connected. It was presented right before Luo Feng, but he could not understand anything about it. The rays of light from the characters were nothing new to him, but he still could not make enough sense of them to be able to comprehend their meaning. Does this mean I have to stop at the 8th level? Luo Feng was very reluctant. But the countless characters on the gigantic scroll seemed so profound, like characters in a holy writ, that he simply could not fathom. Buzz. All of a sudden, Luo Feng, who had been studying the characters, suddenly witnessed all the characters on the gigantic scroll suspended in void space lighting up. Instantly, his consciousness was pulled within the scroll. It was as if he was using a virtual universe sensor, so that his consciousness could enter the virtual universe. At that moment, his consciousness entered the scroll. Luo Feng stood on that suspended continent, unmoving. Far away in the surrounding void space, on the circular scroll with countless characters that resembled stars, there was an upsurge of light rays that were flashing and shining intermittently. At that moment, it was as though they were following a unique rhythm. Hua. A blurred figure condensed and appeared within the void space. He was garbed in a luxurious robe that had faint black rays encircling it. As a blurry shadow, he stood amid the void space, as though he was the core of the entire world on the 8th level. Exuding an aura of absolute elegance, he looked far into the distance at Luo Feng, who stood rooted to his spot on the miniature continent he was on. This is the second one, the black figure gently whispered. The previous one whose consciousness managed to enter the world of scrolls was quick to fail. Let's see if this one can succeed or not. Perhaps I have been asking for too much. My world of Jin might be vast and mighty, but to give rise to an extraordinary figure who could cultivate this secret technique. Maybe it was just too unrealistic. But other than this, what else can I do? What else can I do? My original body has been annihilated. I have no other choice, no other choice. The black ray figure quietly lamented. Among countless lives, there a miracle is bound to be born. The black, ray-like figure looked at Luo Feng from afar with a look of earnest longing on his face. Luo Feng stood rooted to his spot in a dazed manner. His consciousness had already entered the world of scrolls. The world of scrolls. Luo Feng could only feel his consciousness being attracted into the world. It was a feeling similar to entering a virtual world. Everything before him changed, and he arrived before a towering palace that was radiating a faint purple light. This palace was constructed on the peak of sprawling, high mountains. At first glance, the towering palace seemed to be enveloped by the clouds. Therefore, everything around it seemed to be blurred. Just one glance, Luo Feng could already feel the powerful suppression. He turned to look back into the distance. He could see no end to the vast mountain range. What place is this? I was just looking at those characters in the void space a while ago, and my consciousness was forcibly pulled into this place. This place seemed all the more mysterious to Luo Feng. How powerful was his willpower? And yet those characters within the void space that composed the circular scroll had been able to pull his consciousness here by force. Come in. Come in. Come in. From within the doors of the towering palace that was radiating faint purple light, sounds of beckoning could be heard, causing Luo Feng to fall into a daze right away. Moving as though his will was not his own, he walked toward the palace doors right away, and entered the depths of the great hall. Huh! Luo Feng was abruptly awakened. Immediately, he looked around the place. I am already within the hall. Unknowingly and without any trace of vigilance, I was pulled under control. This difference in power is much too great. This was an extremely beautiful hall. To the sides, there were numerous exquisite pillars, and on every pillar were carvings of various pictures. A distance away, some decorations were found on the walls. All of these exuded a powerful oppressive force. Luo Feng wanted to take a closer look, but no matter how he tried, he could not see anything clearly, even the ground beneath his feet was unclear. It was as though he looked at everything through a thick mist. The entire hall suddenly trembled. Luo Feng immediately turned around, and within the same hall he was in, a beast appeared. It was covered entirely with black scales, and its body resembled the form of a lion. On its forehead was a curved purple horn, and both its eyes were filled with purple light. It could be seen walking about the palace hall, and its presence caused the entire hall to tremble. You are, Luo Feng looked at the beast. I am the secret technique itself, the purple-horned beast replied proudly. Luo Feng was taken aback. The secret technique itself? Why, even weapons can have spirits. Why can't this secret technique have a spirit too? The purple-horned beast snorted. Luo Feng was dumbfounded. Then he went wild with ecstasy. Oh, God! The spirit of a secret technique. If it had been a warrior from the world of Jin, then he might not have understood what was meant by a spirit of a secret technique. But Luo Feng, who had received the inheritance of the pulse of Duandong River, possessed knowledge of the ancient civilization. Naturally, he would understand. Within the ancient civilization, only a few formidable super-existences, who stood at the apex of the entire ancient civilization, would go to such lengths, and spend such a great deal of effort to refine and produce a piece of a treasure of a secret technique for the sake of choosing a suitable heir to inherit the sets of knowledge they took great pride in. To enable a secret technique to contain a spirit was a very stringent process that involved combining a secret technique and a spirit. From the pulse of Duandong River, only the 3 generations of ancestors could have achieved that. No heir from the other generations had been successful. When a secret technique had a spirit, it would be able to choose a master that truly suited it. If other great beings vainly attempted to rely on their strong powers to forcibly seize this secret technique, they were bound for failure. And if the secret technique was unable to recognize a master, any attempt to kill its spirit would be impossible to achieve. After all, only a master could easily eradicate the spirit of a treasure. In other words, a particular super great being would naturally be able to destroy the spirit of a treasure when he destroyed that treasure. However, Out of all those who could refine treasures of secret techniques, were there any who were not super existences from the ancient civilization? Even for the 3 generations of ancestors, who could come up with a spirit of a secret technique, even when it came to the ancestors themselves, if the spirit of a treasure they created did not recognize them as masters, there was no way they could destroy the treasures, even if they were the creators of these treasures. So, destroying such a spirit of a secret technique was difficult, but to meet the requirements and acquire the set of knowledge that these peak existences were so proud of was even more difficult. Exactly what sort of secret technique would specially require a spirit of a secret technique? Could this be something that His Majesty the Godly King created? Luo Feng mumbled to himself. Even from the pulse of Duandong River, only the 3 generations of ancestors could achieve this. Facing this purple horned beast, Luo Feng obediently sat beside it and listened. After all, even the 3 generations of ancestors could not use force against it. So everything had to be done according to the rules determined by the creator of this spirit of a secret technique. For you to be able to enter the world of scrolls, you must have a solid foundation, the purple horned beast said. However, whether or not you can obtain this secret technique depends on your skills. Look carefully. The purple horned beast's sharp horn suddenly shot out 4 beams of light rays. 4 rays of light bombarded in 4 different directions within the hall, and all of a sudden, 4 huge rolls of scrolls appeared on each of the 4 walls within the hall simultaneously. As the scrolls unrolled during descent, countless characters could be seen on the scrolls. However, 3 out of the 4 scrolls contained characters that were blurred. Only one of these scrolls was different. And that was the one suspended in mid-air before the palace doors. Every character on that scroll was crystal clear. Luo Feng could finish reading it without trouble. These 4 scrolls, the purple horned beast said. Before your eyes is the only one you can see clearly. This is the acceptance guide of the secret technique. Acceptance guide of the secret technique. Luo Feng nodded. Acceptance guide of secret technique. For the existences of the ancient civilization, who stood at the peak, it was never easy to find an heir. Getting killed during the maturing process was not a big deal. But after a warrior was killed and one's memory was being searched, if the super-secret technique it took such great pride were to be leaked out into the open, there would be big trouble. This was why they would usually deploy many means of precautionary measures. The inheritance imprints of the pulse of Duandong River were one such example. Under the restraint of the inheritance imprints, Luo Feng was unable to leak out anything about it. Even if he had been killed and his memory had been searched, the inheritance imprints would break up and destroy everything. So it was impossible for the enemy to find anything. Of course, there were many groups of powers, like His Majesty the Godly King of Jin, who, when handing over to someone under his command, would also follow the progress of his subordinate. If his subordinate's abilities grew stronger, then gradually, he would impart more profound knowledge. This was because the more powerful his subordinate was, the more difficult it would be to search his memory. If it was not truly an inheritance of a pulse, and he was not imparting it to a subordinate, then he would use methods like the spirit of a secret technique, to cast the net and search for an heir. Usually, an acceptance guide of a secret technique would be used, and once this acceptance guide of secret technique was mastered, the truly powerful secret technique would be accepted and guided into become internalized. By then, even if one's memories were searched, under the influence of the acceptance guide, there would be no way the true secret technique could be found. The acceptance guide of a secret technique not only had the function of protecting the secret technique, it also had the ability to choose an appropriate heir. This secret technique would be fraught with difficulties, and only those who managed to fulfill the various requirements would be able to master this technique. Mastering the acceptance guide of a secret technique would naturally mean that one could master this secret technique. Therefore, he would be accepted and guided into it. Everything would be completed. The more powerful a secret technique is, thought Luo Feng, even for a true god of void space, an eternal true god, or someone higher up in rank, all of them would still have to go through cultivation. I am merely a law master, so I will certainly not be able to master the entire secret technique now. If I were able to master it all, then it would mean this secret technique carried no value at all. So, the significance of the 8th level of Wu Qi Tower, regretfully, is to master the acceptance guide of a secret technique, and, thereafter, to completely internalize this powerful secret technique within one's own soul. Upon memorizing it, one would be considered to have succeeded. If the acceptance guide of a secret technique is never fully mastered, then the result will be failure. Luo Feng was quick to pick up on understanding the true significance of the 8th level of Wu Qi Tower. Upon mastering the acceptance guide of the secret technique, he would be able to obtain the entire secret technique. After that, he would be able to enter the 9th level of Wu Qi Tower. This would be the final barrier to overcome. This acceptance guide of secret technique must be very difficult. Otherwise, there would not be so many obstacles still to face ahead. And since long ago, there has been no one who has succeeded within the world of Jin. Luo Feng started to look very carefully at that scroll suspended before the palace doors. At his side, the purple horned beast was still speaking. This acceptance guide of a secret technique is very stringent, it said. The cultivators should ideally be law masters, and as for the highest level, one could, at most, be a true god. Any higher than that, and it would be impossible to achieve success in cultivation. Luo Feng concentrated all his attention, reading the picture of Na Yin technique. There were countless characters on the picture, but fortunately, Luo Feng had an incredible memory, so he was able to memorize all the characters instantly with only one look. Na Yin. Luo Feng pondered the material of that technique in silence. He wanted to get a deeper understanding of it, and he needed to train on the basis of the material later. There was a saying that sharpening one's axe wouldn't delay the cutting of firewood. This was definitely a crucial moment for Luo Feng, so he needed to be patient. He couldn't rush it. This Na Yin technique is very demanding, the purple horned strange beast said. Since the time when I was created by my master, countless peerless talents have tried to get it, but nobody has ever succeeded. Luo Feng glanced at the purple horned strange beast and was shocked. Countless peerless talents. He didn't think countless, peerless talents had made their way to the 8th floor. As for you, you might fail. The purple horned strange beast took a look at Luo Feng. Luo Feng concentrated all his attention on the picture, and kept analyzing and pondering it. He soon knew the detailed steps for practice, and as soon as he understood all the procedures, he immediately started to practice. The purple horned strange beast was a bit surprised. He started just like that, without any signs. But I bet he might fail in the end. The beast bent its hoofs and lay in the palace. It had its head lowered, and it was waiting beside Luo Feng, waiting for him to fail so he could send him out. Once Luo Feng started the training, his entire body and all of the bodies he had couldn't help being immersed in the techniques he read before. The Earthling original body, Golden Horned Beast body, Mosha body, and Remote Ocean body all started to practice. In the primal universe, in the primal secret region of the human territory, the enormous remote ocean suddenly became tranquil, and there was a trace of white light glinting across the entire ocean. They were fires, each emitting white light indiscriminately. At the same time, the white light gave off mental shocks that were being enhanced gradually, waves of which permeated remote ocean. Some of the undying fighters and sector lords in spaceships flying above remote ocean felt a horrendous willpower shock sweeping through them. They all passed out instantly. Remote ocean was vast, and it was the most important place in the primal secret region. Many universe masters from the Hong Alliance gathered here, and with the willpower shock permeating from the tumbling, endless remote ocean, many sector lords, undying fighters, and even universe knights passed out. This shocked many great beings in the primal secret region. What happened to the remote ocean body of Milky Way Horde leader? Why is there white light everywhere? The willpower shock is terrific. Even universe knights couldn't withstand it. Such a strong willpower shock. Even I feel pressured. Universe masters from the Hong Alliance stood on the edge of remote ocean, staring across the vast waters. Some human universe masters also appeared. Where does that willpower shock come from? Ice Mountain Master asked with a frown. I don't know. It just now happened, said a universe master of another race who was clearly inferior. Ice Mountain Master had obtained some guidance of the ancient civilization from Luo Feng, so he had reached level 5 quickly. With the first level of godly power burning technique, his power was greatly improved. There was shining white light everywhere in remote ocean, and the willpower shock pervaded. Even universe knights can't resist it. Everyone was astounded, but nobody was sure what had happened. They could only speculate. Many universe masters from the Hong Alliance transmitted their voices. Milky Way Horde leader is in the world of Jin. Did he get some powerful technique there? So he's practicing it at the moment. A being showed up, giving out endless power. It was Primal Chaos City leader. He was a universe supreme master, so everyone showed him great respect. Relay my orders. Primal Chaos City leader yelled. Take away all those who are unconscious, and stop any great being from entering remote ocean. Yes. Yes. 8 universe masters answered the order from Primal Chaos City leader, and they immediately went to make arrangements. Primal Chaos City leader was gazing at endless remote ocean. He looked worried, but he immediately hid it. What happened to you, Luo Feng? I tried to transmit my voice to you, but you didn't reply at all. Where does that willpower shock come from? Primal Chaos City leader was concerned. The primal secret region wasn't the only place affected. Milky Way Holy Land was also trapped in waves of indiscriminate mind shocks. On the 8th floor of Wu Chi Tower in the world of Jin, Luo Feng stood still on that floating island without moving a single muscle. His body was bathed in white light. Waves of mind shocks emanated from his body, and each trace of godly power in his body was covered by a white engraving picture. The pictures penetrated the life imprint on each slice of godly power. It was the ultimate test for souls, yet also the most fundamental. During the test, Luo Feng's mind naturally merged with his godly body. Normally, a great being's willpower was attached to nothing. Once the great being died, his godly body wouldn't produce any willpower shock. However, Luo Feng's willpower was gradually being combined with each trace of his godly body. His willpower had a foundation now, and only after that could he perform the willpower technique, as it was the prerequisite for all willpower techniques, such as godly eye technique. After that, even if a great being died, a drop of blood, a hair, a tooth, each part of his body would contain incredible willpower. It took a long time. After more than 900 years, the white light shining on Luo Feng's body turned blue. The willpower shock in remote ocean surged. Some of the universe masters waiting in the distance were irritated. Only those with strong willpower could withstand it easily, yet the mediocre ones had a hard time bearing it. What happened? Why does the willpower shock grow stronger? In the space on the 8th floor of Wu Chi Tower, the being surrounded by black light, and clothed in a luxurious royal cape looked at Luo Feng standing in the distance. He's already entered phase 2. The being in black light shook his body. His eyes glinted with excitement. A talent was born in the world of Jin. Even I didn't expect this. That picture was widely spread. Many peerless talents entered the picture, yet few of could make it to phase 2. Can he succeed? He must. He must. The being in black looked anxious and worried. Inside the picture world, the purple-horned strange beast had its head lowered originally, but it now looked at Luo Feng, who was practicing, in awe. He's entered the second phase, it said. There are 3 phases in Na Yin technique, and he's entered phase 2. Since I was born, many talents from all powers came in before. Some had invaluable inheritances, and some received incredible training from birth. However, the number of those who could make it through phase 1 to phase 2 was less than 50. Who is this kid? Where does he come from? Is he a supreme talent cultivated by Jin's godly king? Days went by. Luo Feng had no idea what he had caused. Pain. Torture. Agony. Those words described how Luo Feng felt. He knew that Na Yin technique had 3 phases after he started training. The first phase was easy for him, but after he started the second phase, each inch of his life imprint started to go through the worst torture in the world. It was like a needle piercing each inch of his life imprint, or it was like being dropped into the middle of a wildfire. It was just as painful as the time Star Tower had recognized him as its master. Fortunately, Luo Feng was much stronger than he had been when Star Tower recognized him as its master, so he could bear the pain on his life imprint. Even though he was able to bear the pain, his life imprint itself might not be able to bear it, as that was a totally different scenario. Luo Feng could easily bear the pain on his life imprint. However, if the life imprint itself couldn't bear the pain, and it broke, Luo Feng would die. Is it dangerous to practice Na Yin technique? Regardless, he was already practicing, so there was no turning back. It's phase 2 already. The purple-horned strange beast was watching. If only he can enter phase 3. Since it was seized by Jin Godly King, nobody under him is able to enter phase 2. You brat. Just try to enter phase 3. If you can. Well, you'll die if you fail at that stage. However, if you succeed, you'll be second only to the Godly King in the world of Jin. The purple-horned strange beast was looking forward to it. Its destiny was to find the suitable inheritor. Once the inheritor was found, the spirit of technique would disappear. However, it didn't care about what happened after the phase. From birth, its sole purpose had been to find the inheritor. The being in the black light stared at Luo Feng in the space on the 8th floor. Enter phase 3. Enter phase 3. Only about 10 peerless talents have ever entered phase 3 from all the powers combined. Only 3 of them survived, while all the others died. The first and second phases were safe. However, when someone entered phase 3, they would either succeed or die. Of course, there were many ways to survive in the ancient civilization. Even though all the peerless talents failed at phase 3, 3 had managed to save their lives. However, my original body is already dead, so I can do nothing to save your life. If you can survive phase 3, be grateful for me. If you can't, the black light being just shook his head. 300 years after the blue light appeared in the primal secret region of the human territory. Hong. The blue light became purple, and the purple light connected to form a giant, mysterious ancient engraving picture. Hong. The shock of willpower from remote ocean surged. Most of the universe masters in the Hong Alliance fainted and fell down. Only 2 universe masters remained conscious. The entire human camp was astounded. The willpower shock that spread indiscriminately from Milky Way Horde leader knocked 37 out of 39 universe masters unconscious, and only Void Gold Master and Bu Hon Master was still awake. The entire Hong Alliance was dumbfounded. And the shock had been outspread. If it were to be concentrated, it would be horrific. Does that mean the willpower shock from Milky Way Horde leader could finish off almost all universe masters? Even Universe Supreme Masters might suffer losses if they are not careful enough. The seniors of Hong Alliance were all thrilled. Primal Chaos City leader gave a strict order: nobody in the Hong Alliance is allowed to leak this news. Only Universe Masters in the Hong Alliance can know about it, and if anyone dares to leak the news, he'll be treated as a traitor. Milky Way Holy Land and the Primal Secret Region were heavily guarded. Everything was concealed. Although many sector lords and undying fighters had lost consciousness, they didn't know how terrific the willpower shock of Luo Feng was. Primal Chaos City leader stood on endless remote ocean, looked to afar and thought, Luo Feng, come back safely no matter what. He understood that it was not easy to become so incredibly skilled. It could be inferred that Luo Feng might be in grave danger, as he was totally cut off from the outer world. On the 8th floor of Wu Chi Tower in the world of Jin, purple light shone on Luo Feng's godly body. Giant purple images were ingrained in each trace of his godly power. The willpower shock was spread everywhere. Phase 3. He has entered Phase 3. Only one creature in the world of Jin entered level 8, yet he failed instantly after the first try. I never expected such a miracle to happen in world of Jin. A Lawmaster entered Phase 3. He's only one step away from the final success. If he succeeds. I've been waiting for this moment for an infinite amount of time. The being in the black couldn't help but be excited. However, he was also anxious. Don't fail. It's the last phase. Don't fail. A miracle has already happened. Will there be a second? He understood that the possibility of a creature in the world of Jin succeeding was almost zero. The so-called sealing task was only a dream. He was just there waiting for a miracle. But now, the miracle was happening. Many talents had tried and failed. This was indeed a miracle. Inside the picture world, the purple-horned strange beast looked at Luo Feng. It could tell that this Lawmaster was going through a nightmare. This is the bottom line. My master created this technique, and it's very demanding on souls. If you can't reach the bottom line, you'll die. Rat, the purple-horned strange beast grew anxious. Please, keep it up. Keep it up. If you can go through this, you'll be led to a new world. Time flew, and during Luo Feng's practice of Na Yin technique, especially at the third phase, he felt that his soul was being crushed. It was nearly annihilated. However, when he couldn't hold it anymore, his soul morphed a bit. During the third phase, his soul could quickly adapt every time it hit the limit. Luo Feng couldn't help but wonder every time, when he reached a limit, am I naturally fit for this technique? Maybe it was like Star Tower recognizing him as a master and resisting the willpower shock from the godly eye. However, learning Na Yin technique didn't have much to do with willpower. After all, there were many supreme talents in the ancient civilization. Some of them had managed to attain the willpower level of eternal true gods, yet they had still failed. Willpower was only a part of Na Yin technique, the soul itself was more important. Luo Feng's soul was being crushed. Under Na Yin technique, he quickly adapted and felt much more relaxed against the agony he had felt at the start. Comfortable, thought Luo Feng. He started to enjoy practicing the third phase. After 90 years of practice, everything was finished. Who? Luo Feng opened his eyes with a smile. He felt incredibly comfortable. The purple-horned strange beast lay directly in front of Luo Feng. Its giant face startled Luo Feng when he opened his eyes. Spirit of techniques, what are you? Luo Feng took 2 steps back. The purple-horned strange beast stared at Luo Feng and whispered, I'm just looking at where you come from. How did you succeed? For what it's worth, congratulations that you're qualified to practice the technique created by my master. The purple-horned strange beast smirked. Who's your master? Luo Feng couldn't help asking. Was it His Majesty, the godly king in the world of Jin? It didn't feel like it. Humph. Listen carefully, said the purple-horned strange beast. Even though my master doesn't know who you are, he gave you the technique. Remember the name of my master. My master was called Yuan. He was a real supreme being who wasn't bound by any powers. Yuan. Luo Feng remembered the name. Okay. You finished Na Yin technique, and you fit all the requirements. You're qualified to get the mighty technique created by my master. The purple-horned strange beast sighed. I've lived for such a long time, and now, I can finally go back to the technique itself. Hua. The entire purple-horned strange beast disintegrated into light, flooding Luo Feng's mind. Mountains of information were injected into Luo Feng's brain. In the space of the 8th floor of Wu Qi Tower, the being in black looked around anxiously. It had been almost 90 years, but he was finally relieved when the light around Luo Feng withered away, and the star characters in the space rushed toward Luo Feng. He smiled in peace. I'm worth it now, said the being in black. Then he smiled and disappeared. Luo Feng was the only one left on the floating island. He stood there still. After a long time, he opened his eyes. The floor on the 8th level. Luo Feng looked around. The characters had already disappeared from the space around him. After learning the information, Luo Feng now understood that those characters were scripted into his body. Yuan. Luo Feng recalled the information about the technique he had just gotten, and he couldn't help but admire that being. The technique was called Lai Yuan technique. It was an unremarkable name, yet it belonged to a supreme being in the ancient civilization. Lai Yuan technique was also a willpower technique, but it was totally different from the Godly Eye technique. Godly Eye technique required willpower at the level of a true god of void space, so Luo Feng was able to practice it now. Lai Yuan technique required willpower at a consecrated level. Godly Eye technique was relatively inferior, and it was useful to true gods of void space, and eternal true gods. As for Lai Yuan technique, it could drive even godly kings crazy. It was an exceptional technique. If His Majesty, the godly king in the world of Jin, could practice Lai Yuan technique and achieve something, his power would surge, while Jin would suppress other powers. It was a technique that could change the power dynamic. However, it had been created by Yuan, who was removed from power struggles. The technique had led to countless battles in the ancient civilization. Even though godly king of Jin couldn't practice it by himself, he had tried to let the talents under him practice it. They had all failed, until Luo Feng showed up. A pillar shot down and covered Luo Feng. Then he disappeared from the 8th floor of Wu Qi Tower. Luo Feng arrived at the 9th level. This meant he had succeeded. He would gain Wu Qi God and be sealed. Luo Feng stood in a square palace. There were ancient sculptures on the wall, which were of a special style unique to the world of Jin. This is the 9th floor of Wu Qi Tower. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Other than being sealed and gaining Wu Qi God, Luo Feng's other goal was to learn the secret hidden behind all this. Suddenly, a voice came from the silent area in front of him. Come in. This video will end here.